So, hello everybody. Welcome. It's been a while since I've done a Mastery Monday, but I got a whole bunch of stuff I gotta teach the people. So today, the topic of discussion in this Fighter Academy classroom is going to be regarding the 5 important things that I will show you to enhance your training mode experience, all right? So what that means is to just have a more focused, a more deliberate, and efficient practice. All right, that's essentially what that means. All right, so you're gonna save a lot of time. You're gonna know how to train these certain things. You're gonna know how to accurately determine things and whatnot, and we're gonna talk about some exercises that you guys can use to strengthen areas of your play. As always, like the video, subscribe to the channel, let people know we exist, and let's get the show on the road. All right, so number 1, using frame meter to determine the fastest possible timings and opportunities. So what ends up happening is there's a lot of pockets and a player's, I guess, like gameplay where they don't really commit to doing things the fastest possible timing, right? And these little pockets can lead to inconsistencies in your pacing, in your pressure, in the tightness of your offense and things of that nature. So what you want to do is you want to turn on this frame meter, okay? And where you're going to find it is located on the screen display settings, all right? So you'll find it right here. It's the 3rd option. So you want to turn this bad boy on, okay? And if you don't know how to read it, there is a part under simple training settings titled the frame meter and you, and it basically shows you all of the different types of things that are represented in terms of properties through the frame meter, okay? It tells you exactly how to read it, you know, what the numbers represent, things of that nature, okay? So this is super crucial for just understanding a lot of situations, but mainly it's a great way of tightening your timing in general. So here's an exercise I like to practice to make sure my dashes are on point, because sometimes people will dash and then you'll see it like this, right? What your dash should look like if you do it the fastest possible timing is it should be back to back like this with absolutely no gaps. There's no gray or black demonstrated between these. That means I'm doing this at the fastest possible timing. All right, see, like that. So this is a way for you to practice doing dashes, making sure you're doing it as fast as possible, right? So this will help you with like your Oki. This will help you with overall execution of your movement. Very, very important, okay? So another thing, so whenever you wanna lab your Oki, okay? Ideally, you want to make sure, right? If you're not a numbers person, let's say you're just a visual person, right? You don't care for the numbers. You just want to make sure that your attack, which is going to be in the pink, like these pink squares represent when your attacks are active. You just want to make sure that it hits your opponent within the first 3 squares after their yellow is over, okay? The yellow represents the animation that occurs when your opponent is knocked down. So it changes based off the special move, right? So if I do throw, you're not going to see 58. You're going to see 143, because that's the total amount of frames that were taken up in order for that animation to basically be processed, right? So you want to time your attacks to hit these first 3 squares. Why? Because the first rule you want to understand about like pressure, right, is how to keep things tight. So what does that mean? You want to know how tight do I have to be able to just neutralize any defensive button. In this game, the fastest button is 4 frames. There is no button faster than 4 frames. A non-invincible attack, though, for sure, the absolute fastest will be 4 frames, okay? So when you know that you can constrain your opponent's options, then it's a lot easier to snipe them or maneuver them or punish them or whatever you want to do, depending on the opponent, because you're removing options, okay? This is where meaties are really strong. But now here's another thing that's really, really good. If you can hit, right, your meaty on the 3rd square and avoid the first 2 squares, you will actually avoid reversal parries. So the frame meter is a really good way of finding meaty setups where you can meaty somebody and avoid perfect parry timings, okay? So let's say if I have Akuma is set to perfect parry with no delay, all right? He does it immediately, right? So if I were to do this and I let me see, he perfect parries me, right? So I did a 4 frame button. It covered the 1st and 2nd frame of wake up. So when I look at this, I say, all right, so I just need to do something that would hit 2 frames later than what I just hit, right? So this move starts up in 4 frames. It's active on the 5th, the 6th. So I need something that would hit, that would be a 7-frame button. What button does Akuma have at 7 frames? Stand medium kick. So we're gonna do the same exact setup. Okay, see? So this hit meaty on the exact frame that I needed to avoid the perfect parry. All right. So these are technically the strongest meaties and the strongest frame traps, because it'll beat every button in the game. It'll still keep people grounded, so you can't jump out of this. So he would still get hit meaty if he tried to jump. Okay, so let's say he tries to vertical jump. Still gets hit. If he tries to backdash, he still gets hit, right? So he's not airborne on backdash, but he is airborne on the 4th frame of jump. So if this was 1 frame too slow, so let's say, for example, I'm gonna do crouch fierce, and he's gonna be airborne, or it should be airborne. So he got hit airborne. So you want to be careful with stuff like this, right? You want to make sure that you have something that can keep them grounded, that can stop them from mashing, that can also simultaneously avoid mashed or reversal time perfect parries. And you see how I still maintain pressure, but I wasn't scared, because now I'm like, well, I know you have to manually delay your perfect parry in order for you to stop this. So he would have to purposely or deliberately delay this by a frame or 2 in order to stop this. All right, as you can see here, there's that 1 grayed out square because he didn't do it on that. There was that delayed timing that he allowed to bypass, right? So this is really good for just creating a more accurate way of playing, in terms of just like using the opportunity as soon as possible and just making sure that you can limit your opponent's options. This is a really good visual tool to leverage in order to do that. All right, so let's go to number 2. So now, numero dos. Okay. So number 2, using damage after throw to test the fastest possible drive rushes and jump recording. So if you're not aware, all right, if you record, for example, this, right, we actually don't know if this is the fastest possible recording. Okay, so if let's say I wanted to record on block, he does on block going to do drive rush. I don't know if this was the fastest. I doubt it, because you see there was that little hiccup. Okay, so this is the trick of finding out. What you want to do is you go to reversal after damage, which means that when he takes a hit, he's gonna do whatever that you designate for him to do, right? So if I wanted him to do a Hadouken after he gets hit, right, he does a fireball. Okay, so that's what that looks like. So now you could do this with your recordings also, right? So here's the thing though. The way you'll be able to tell if it's the fastest possible timing is you set the dummy to throw escape. Why? Because throws technically count as 0 damage. So the CPU is triggered to do whatever falls under the category of reversal after damage, because even though it does no damage, the game will still register that, see? So what you do is you want to see if I do it, that's the gap, you see? So if you look and see, I did an immediate drive rush, and I did a perfect drive rush, right? Which is when you do a drive rush canceled immediately from the fourth frame of the parry. Okay, but you see his doesn't cancel until the 5th frame, or actually not even the 5th frame. What am I talking about? He doesn't start until the 5th frame. So he doesn't start his parry until the 5th frame, and then 3 frames later on the 8th frame, he actually starts the drive rush. This isn't good. So imagine if we both did a drive rush into a button, right? Like this. I'm gonna smash him every time. See? So this is probably what's happening. So what you want to do is you want to practice and make sure that you are doing this at the fastest possible timing. Oops. Okay. So what you want to do is when you want to make sure that the CPU is doing it at the fastest possible timing, you just have to keep re-recording it until you get that perfect. Okay, and now look. I'm still beating him, right? So that means I have to keep on doing this. So what I could do is I could put it on input. Okay. Oh. right? And he's still not doing it the fastest. So that means I have to do it even faster. So it'd be a lot easier if Capcom just had an option for you to drive rush, but we have to. Okay, so I got it the fastest there, but I didn't do the drive rush perfectly.
1 hour later.
Bruh. Bruh. Okay, you guys get my point though, right? Okay, the game is just, I don't know what it is, why we cannot just do it, which is annoying, but it works. Okay, but you just have to sit there, and the cool thing though is that once you get the recording, you never have to delete it. So what I suggest is like put it on the 8th slot, so that way you like never have to touch this shit again, right? And you could just leave it there, and you could do it for every character. It'll save under every character, so you never have to do it again. If you want to do drive rush jab, just to make sure that you have the fastest possible timing. But I'm stubborn, so I'm gonna get this shit.
1 eternity later.
Okay, I think this is a bug. Okay, hold on. Let me try something else. Okay, let's try that. Will this work? Let's find out, guys. Okay, that looks kind of fast. Okay, wait, I think this is it. Nope. Wait, what? Yeah, it's still 2 frames off. Okay, you know what? Let's not do this with drive rush. We're gonna start over again because this game's so instead, what we're gonna do is, instead of drive rush, we're gonna do jump, because jump is also equally important. All right, so why do you want to know when the jump timing is? Well, jump is really important because when you want to learn some fireball traps, you want to know if you can cover the fastest possible jump. All right, so you can figure this out. See, so now I know, okay, this is not the fastest timing, so I have to do it again. So when we both jump at the same time, I just hold up forward, and then it's telling me, all right, he's 4 frames behind. Okay, so I have to be a little bit faster. Aha! There you go. See? This is what it's supposed to look like. We both move at the same exact time. Okay? So this is a good way for you to try fireball traps. So if I'm playing Akuma, for example, I want to find my magical fireball number, right? What I would do is I would use the same recording, but instead of on hit, which we used to see if it was the fastest, we're going to put it on block. Okay? So now I'm going to go here. I'm going to go here. So then when he blocks, he's gonna do an immediate jump like that. So this is how you can test your fireball traps. Okay, so what you do is you set them to all block, and then find the value. Oh, this is perfect because Zaf has done this so many times that I just naturally know where the fireball trap is. Akuma's magic number is literally right here. It's +10. So if I do this into this, I will be able to BP. Okay, even if he were to do it with like jump, we'll do jump heavy kick for the sake of accuracy, right? Okay, so we want to make sure, is this accurate? Ah, it's 2 frames too slow. Okay, and every frame matters, right? So I have to make sure I get this accurate, because you don't want to go into a tournament thinking, oh yeah, I labbed this is good, and then it's fraudulent as fuck, right? That's the last thing you want. Okay, we both jump at the same time. You see how much easier it is to do this compared to the drive rush? If the drive rush just worked, I mean, it would be a lot easier, but I don't know why it's misbehaving today. Okay, so we go back to this, we turn this on. So now I go to this exact spacing again, right? The +10. And I say, all right, can I throw fireball and DP? Yes. Okay, but if I move forward and now I'm +9, okay, can I do this again? All right, and let's see. Nope. See, So that one frame of a difference is gonna make or break your fireball game. You understand? So that's how you make sure that you have an airtight fireball trap, is you lab it like that. All right. So every character is capable of doing this with a fireball to some degree. Okay. Even if you don't have a let's say an invincible anti-air attack, you could just have enough advantage so that way when your poke or your anti-air button does come out, whatever the move is, that you'd still be able to be active before they can reach you, right? And then hopefully you have a good hitbox, hurtbox ratio, so that way you can win the interaction cleanly. Make sense? Makes sense? I hope it makes sense. You can use that same type of method for drive rush. So if your drive rush is perfect like that, then you know you're doing the fastest possible drive rush for the CPU, which is really important for you to realize, like when you're negative at the end of block stun, can I check this consistently? It's very important. Okay, so let's say if you're playing Dawson has a lot of buttons that are negative on block, so he has to know at what spacing can I do this button on block and still consistently check our reversal timed drive rush jab, which is exactly 15 frames. That's the fastest that you can be in this game. All right, is a 15 frame drive rush. All right, so unless you've already, so here's the caveat, is if you're already parried a move, then you don't have to parry again, so then you don't have to do the 3 frames. You know what I'm saying? So if you like parried a button and it's -12, you regular parried it, then you can drive rush jab because you don't have those 3 frames from parry. So now your 15 frame sequence is actually 12. So that's how you can punish like 12 frame sweeps with a drive rush into a jab. All right, okay, number 3, use the shortcut settings. I don't see enough people using this and you guys are trolling, so here I am to preach the gospel of shortcut settings. Okay, I am a man that likes to get straight to the point. I want to know what I gotta know as soon as possible. I want to know what I gotta lab. I want to know how I get there. I want to recreate it as easily as possible, as accurately as possible too. All right, so now the shortcut settings, the way this works is you set a button, and this button is a function button. So I recommend you pick a button that obviously you're not playing with, so you can pick like one of those extra buttons that are on the side for like the, I don't know, for like the menus or whatever, right? You pick one of those buttons, and anytime you press that button, it basically stops the game for a second, and then a menu pops up, an imaginary menu. Okay, and this menu is in the background of the game, which is this. Okay, so these shortcuts are customizable, so you can turn these on to your heart's content. Whatever you want, you can turn it on. You could be like me and have certain things, or you can have your own thing. All right, so you have restart battle. All right, so this is super convenient. If I quickly just want to go to the corner and I want to switch sides, I want to be mid-screen, switch sides. You see this? How easy this is? All you have to do is hold a direction in a certain way, and it will swap the character positions. All right, so if I'm mid-screen, I hold up, I'll be player 2 side. If I do down, okay, if I do down, it will put me back player 1 side. All right, if I just hit the same button, the restart button, it'll just go back to the last position. All right, so if I'm like here, see, I'm not doing back. If I do back, it does that. But if I do the button without a direction, it just brings me back to that moment, to that part of the screen. Okay, so if you do down back, you swap sides and your opponent is now cornered. Okay, you want to be in the corner, you hold down back, player 2 side. All right, all right, very easy. Okay, so it's really cool if you want to just practice things quickly, see something, you know, and you're like, oh, what's this? What's the combo from, you know, this that I can get from here that has great corner carry or something, right? How much corner carry does this conversion give me, or blah, 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 blah. Okay. So then the other, my favorite, these are my 2 favorites, are save status and replay save status. These are features that were in Street Fighter 4, and they weren't in 5 until a certain point. I don't remember when, but they weren't in Street Fighter 5 until like a later update. But basically, what it does is it takes a snapshot. So if you hold the function button, right? You hold the function button, whatever it is that you said again, right? And it takes a snapshot. So when you press the reload part, right? Or the replay part. So I have it for X and Y. X is to take the picture, Y is to replay. It snaps me back to this moment. Okay, so why is this cool? Let's say I want to practice a conversion like this, right? I want to practice this conversion, or I want to explore the conversion. And this is how you can come up with stuff. Instead of you sitting there and doing the combo over and over and over again for a part of the combo that might not even be possible, you'd be wasting a lot of time. So if you want to get straight to it, then you could just snap in the middle of a combo. Or, you know, if you want to practice a set spacing like I did with the fireball trap, you can snap a picture here. And then every time you play that recording and you anti-air the jump attempt, or if you whiff punish a button, right? So like if I'm gonna whiff punish crouching medium kick on block, right? After fireball, let's practice it again. All right, very efficient. It's really dope. So you get to experiment with a lot of these, you know, and check and see what works with you. You have a bunch of options. You can change the block settings, all right, which is pretty cool through here. Okay. And you can also do the replay. You could do the dummy recording and the play recording through here too. So, you know, if I want Luke to do something in particular, like the dry rush into jab, okay, I want to practice. Maybe I just want to practice punishing it, right? You can do that, all right? Another thing that's pretty cool is I like to use the pause feature. I think this is a super underrated feature because it helps you learn keyframe animation. So for example, if I want to react to Luke's low forward, I want to see like what are the tells that I can see that I can identify that that's low forward as quickly as possible, right? Because some people don't realize it's low forward until here, and it's like, bro, it's way too late. I need to figure it out like here, right? All right, I see his arm, his right arm is straight, his left arm is behind his head, he's kind of kicking out, his knee is bent. Like you want to identify like where in the animation can I use this tell to quickly identify what the move is, okay? Very, very important. Next, number 4, how to accurately learn spacing. So this is for my peoples that have a hard time with spacing and understanding where to fight. Rule of thumb is you should know where your attacks hit at the furthest range. If you're any closer, then you know you're gonna hit, guaranteed, right? So you want to make things simple. What I suggest is you go to training mode, have the dummy put their front foot. A character like Luke is pretty good because he doesn't move around a lot. Rashid moves a lot, so I wouldn't do like Rashid, right? I would start with a character like this, like Luke, and then save. All right, so you see this is like I'm combining all of the things we just learned so far. Save here, and let's say I want to know what range does my low forward hit. What range does my low forward hit? All right, I'm gonna start here. Does it hit here? No. Okay, does it hit here? No. Does it hit here? No. So if you haven't noticed, what I'm doing is I'm moving one line at a time. Okay, so if you don't know that there are exactly 10 squares between these, okay, and then at these little like darker lines, okay, every dark line, it's 5 squares. So you can just say like, you know, 0.5 here and then another 0.5 here. So the way I measure it is I go off of decimals, right? And I say, all right, so this entire thing is just 1. Okay, so if I'm exactly 10 squares away, and this is 1 square distance. So what I like to do is I'm a visual learner and a hands-on learner. So I will go and find the longest poke all the way down to the lowest poke. And then I'll put them in order. And I'll say, from the furthest poke Akuma has to the absolute shortest, these are his buttons. So I know, for example, if I'm in range, if I'm not in range of low forward, I'm not in range of jab, I'm not in range of strong, right? Because I know that low forward is further than these buttons. So I have no reason to press this from here, for example. No reason to press this if I'm not in range of this. You understand? If I'm not in range of low forward, which we clearly see has more range than crouching medium punch, there's no reason for me to press crouching medium punch unless I'm like trying to snipe a particular thing in what they're doing. If you have an intent behind your reason for pressing the button, then just sure, by all means, of course, do it. But this is just to help you curb that like impulse to try to press and just not be accurate about what buttons you are and are not pressing. Okay, Okay, so let's say you know, we're at this range and we know, okay, we know this button hits and we know this button doesn't hit, this button doesn't hit, this button doesn't hit. These are all stubbier, right? So we don't have to think about using these, which now takes off the mental burden, the mental load, okay? Because we can simplify and say, well, buttons that will hit are low forward, sweep, stand fierce, forward fierce, stand medium kick won't, stand roundhouse will first hit, back medium kick, no, I mean forward medium kick, let me see, yeah, forward medium kick, right, sweep, okay, but nothing else. Overhead will hit also, okay? This is for the normals. Inversely, you can use this to help you with whiff punishing. So here's the thing you could do, right? So let's say you want to find the exact spacing that Luke's low forward will whiff on block. Okay, actually no, let's not do it on block. Let's just do a raw like this. Okay, so what you do is every time you get hit, you take a step back. Okay, so let's say I'm gonna start here. I'm gonna start at 0.5. All right, we know we're gonna get hit, but just for the sake of demonstration. Okay, so then I go back to 0.6 distance, save it, replay it. Okay, let's go to 7. 7. Okay, let's go back. 8. Okay, let's go to 9. Ah, okay, this is good to know. So now I know if I am crouching at this distance, I gotta whiff punish. Okay, so ideally what you want to do is you want to dance around this range. Entice them, leave them in the dust. Entice, leave them in the dust. Entice, leave them in the dust. So when you entice, you're just inside of the range, barely, right? And then you walk back. Boop. Okay, very important to note, if you're not aware of this, you are slightly wider as a character when you crouch. Okay, so if I stand here, I'm gonna block this, right? But if I stand still, oops, hold on, I block this, I get hit. If I stand, it's gonna whiff. Okay, so you are slightly narrow, more narrow when you are standing. Okay, but it is dangerous because these low forwards have very far reach in this game. All right, so you have to be super careful about this, and back walk speeds are not as great as they were in the past, so you have to be super mindful about this. Okay, so if you're too close and you try to walk back, you'll get hit like that. All right, so if you're gonna be dancing, you gotta make sure you're at a range that you can easily get out of. Okay, lastly, exercises. Everybody loves some exercises. You guys like strong muscles, right? Let's talk about some footsies, anti-airs, and differentiation training, which is what basically comes down to mental stack strengthening. Okay, so for footsies, very simple. Some very simple exercises you can practice, all right, in training mode. Again, do something like this. Okay, we'll have a couple recordings. Okay, so the idea here is differentiation will help you. When you can get stronger at differentiating things, you'll be able to overall strengthen the chances of you succeeding at executing these things in the high stress situation, like a tournament, a real match, you know, whatever, right? A session with your friends. This is how you're going to be able to do this. All right, so in training mode, you want to start with the bare bones, the baby steps of knowing your spacing. Let's say for footsies, right? We know our spacing. We know the spacing of Luke's crouching medium kick. Okay, but now what I want to do to strengthen my footsies, okay, I want to do two things. This is the differentiation part. Okay, so that's one recording of him doing that. All right, now I'm going to set up another recording. So you're going to turn on multiple recordings. The second recording is going to be him doing jab and then that. Okay, so now with these two recordings on, what's going to happen is you're going to try to train yourself to only press the button when you see him actually whiff, not when you see him jiggle. Okay, let's turn off the inputs. Turn this off, turn this off. Try to make it look as close to the in-game experience as possible. And you just want to practice with punishing it. Oh, another thing is you can turn on under replay for the recording settings. You could put always repeat playback, so that way when you repeat it, like here, and then you reload it, it automatically just starts it. See? So what I want you to do is practice doing it from crouching first, because it's the easiest, okay? Only pressing it. If you can do this 10 times in a row with punishing it, I'm proud of you, okay? You've passed. Now, the next thing you want to do is do it standing to crouching. So, like, whatever button you were doing crouching, but go from standing, because this is slightly different in execution, right? So you don't want to ignore the fact that even the slightest change in stimuli to your brain can throw off your execution. So this is why you want to practice stuff like this. So you go from standing to crouching medium kick, see? Okay, so you do that 10 times in a row, and then let's say for the sake of, you know, this, we're gonna do it on both sides. Okay, you practice that. Now as you're getting better, you want to add a little bit more difficulty, right? The difficulty is good because it causes you to focus, and because if it's too easy, you'll get bored and you won't really ingrain these things. But if you increase the challenge incrementally, it'll cause you to focus more and more and more, right? But you don't want to do it too quickly to where it stresses you the fuck out. So the next thing you want to do is we start to add a little bit of movement to it, right? So here's another recording. We're gonna do 2 recordings now, okay? Of we're gonna go back to the, I'm gonna go, let's put Luke right back over here. Okay, what we're gonna do on this recording, which is gonna be the first one, yeah, I don't have to put the countdown on now. We're gonna do this, crouch nothing. Okay, have him wiggle 3 times, crouch, and then do something. Okay, so now the second recording, I'm gonna snap it back. Turn this off for a second while we're recording, because it's gonna mess up our recording. So now the second recording we're gonna do, okay, and now you can turn on the repeat playback again, or repeat replay. Okay, all right, you're gonna keep practicing this, and you can change the button. It doesn't always have to be crouching medium kick. Okay, I'm just doing this for the sake of example. You can do stand fierce. Okay, you can do whatever you want. Oops. Okay, so you can decide whatever your character is, whatever would lead to that oki and that pressure and that forward momentum that you'd want, so you can get them to the corner. You're gonna practice that. Okay, so anti-air example really quick. So we're gonna take the same fundamental principle of how we're practicing this with differentiation. Okay, we're gonna do the same thing. So we're gonna do round start. We're gonna do jab into jump. Okay, jab into this. Okay, all right, and then we'll do another one of jab, neutral jump. Okay, and this is all you're gonna do. Only DP when he jumps forward. Okay, once you do this 10 times in a row, switch sides. Okay, switch sides, then you do it over and over and over again. And then when you do this, you still leave the recording the same way, but what I want you to do is to add a little movement to it. So something like this. Okay, because what will happen is people will train their anti-airs, but then they don't recreate, they don't replicate exactly how a match would be. Instead, they just kind of do this robotic, like, oh, I'm gonna BB boobop anti-air. Like, no, that's not realistic. You have to introduce those elements of the game that you would naturally be doing, right? Like moving, whiffing a jab, as you see here, right? Maybe whiffing a medium. Okay, maybe whiffing a crouching medium kick, right? Right? You have to recreate as accurately as possible. Okay, and you could do the same thing with air to airs. Oops. Okay. And then if you want to learn how to get, like, you know, more advanced with your anti-airs, you can start trying to practice punishing both, right? So you can, oops, you can do some like walk forward. You drive rush on reaction to both. Wow, it took me like 50 tries. You can even like, you could pivot, right? So pivots are good too, where you'll do one, right? So if he neutral jumps, I'll do this instead. Something you can do too is anti-airs with fireballs. Okay, so you can practice in a bunch of different ways. That's basically the gist of what I'm trying to get at. All right, so you just want to, the key idea to get proficient at any skill is you want to be gradual about the process. The problem is when most of us are adults playing this, right, especially competitively, and we have strong fucking egos, and we don't want to go through the process of being like a child again, right? We just want to get the reward now. We don't want to go through the hardship and the pain of failing over and over and over again, right? Or the grueling process of becoming proficient at something, especially as an adult, right? So you have to be open and receptive to whatever your feedback is in your experience as you're training, and doing this with this open mind of knowing that, hey, I have to go from the very bare bones, the basics, the foundation, and do it as slowly and cleanly as possible, and make sure that my house, my house of footsies, my house of anti-airs, whatever, is built on a strong foundation, right? So with that being said, thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate it. Hope you guys enjoyed the Mastery Monday subject on enhancing your training mode experience. If you guys enjoyed the experience, you enjoyed the video, of course, I'd appreciate subs, comments, let me know how you felt about it, things like that. Share this video with other people. And with that being said, I'm outie. Thank you guys. Peace.